Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you did while you were there.
So I still currently work there, but
Okay.
I'm technically positioned as a teacher's assistant,
Okay.
and so I help like prepare lesson plans for the kids, ensure that they are playing nicely with each other and protected while they're playing, especially like if people are coming into the building, like picking up their kids, like making sure it's their parent, not somebody else that's like, hey, I'm gonna pick up that kid, but they're not supposed to be. Just making sure that they are in an environment where they can learn and feel safe and secure.
Okay. What do you like about working there?
I like the flexibility of being able to just be with the kids. It's kind of laid back and not too formal, and so just being able to like sit on the floor with the kids and like do a puzzle or just do like arts and crafts or like science projects and stuff like that is really nice because you know they're growing, they're learning, and while they're doing that, I'm also growing and learning because I don't know, being in a daycare is just a different environment, and so it's kind of nice to like step out of being in college and step into their world and see what they're learning and what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about Girls' Night then.
So Girls Night In is a nonprofit organization that my grandmother actually started.
Okay.
And so she's technically not like biological to me, but her daughter like adopted me like 2 years ago, and so I got exposed to Girls Night In because I was a girl that went to Girls Night In.
Okay.
So the mission for Girls Night In is to empower young girls to make wise choices, and I'm a student leader there, so I have a group of middle school girls that I'm leading, which is cool. It's like come full circle that I was one of those girls, and then now I'm in the position where I'm guiding them to choose better choices than I was choosing, and just to make sure that they feel loved and they feel like they have a purpose in life.
That's awesome. I've never heard of that, but I'm going to have to look into it. That sounds really awesome.
It's great.
Yeah. So I was going to say, what do you like about working there, but you almost kind of talked a little bit about it. I can kind of hear your passion in there. So the position that you are looking into, the operations team member, what interested you in that position?
So I transferred from a different university to IUPUI, and that position just really interested me because I don't know much about IUPUI, so I felt like I was going to learn more about the campus and the university and their mission and the people that are here working here, so I could just create a better network and learn more about the community.
Okay. So how do you think this position would ultimately help you towards your long-term goals?
I think that I would grow in a way that would prepare me for the social work field. Just getting better connected with, like I said, like people in the community, and just learning how to, I don't know, do what others are asking me to do, and just watching others like do what they do, just to understand what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So describe for me, what would your ideal work environment look like?
I think my ideal environment would be something that wasn't too formal, but something that I could feel like relaxed in, but would have like a goal and like a structure. So then I like would know what would be expected of me. But if something was like thrown my way, then that I wasn't expecting, like that would be okay. Like, you know, flexibility is very important in life, and so I feel like having that in your work environment is important.
Okay. So what do you value in a supervisor?
I think vulnerability is kind of important because, you know, it's important to obviously have like boundaries and, you know, professionalism in the workplace, but just being able to say like, I don't know, for instance, if somebody like couldn't come in because their child was sick, just having a supervisor that understood, hey, like, I know that I have kids, they're sick, they get sick too, so it's okay that you can't come in today. Just somebody who is understanding and very, just has been there and knows what it is, how it is to live and be a normal person.
Yeah. So tell me about a time when you were on a team, and as a team, you had some kind of a common goal. And then what were some specific tasks that you had to help contribute to the goal?
So I'm going to use Girls on In for example. So I am on the setup team, so Girls on In has an office, but then the events take place in a different location. And so with the setup team, we have obviously a team that takes all the props and the merchandise and things like that to the other location so we can set it up. And the main goal is obviously to prepare for the girls to come to have the topic night. And some of the complications that we've kind of run into is like time, so knowing like how much time we need to set up and the like where things need to go and where things need to be put back in place so we don't lose them and
Okay. So how many are on the team?
I would say about 10.
10? Okay. And what are your specific tasks within that team?
So I usually set up like the preparation room, which is like where like the team meets before the girls actually come, and then I set up tables for like when the girls first come in, they get to like sign up and like if they're new especially, they have a table specifically for new girls, and so I help set up that table. I set up the merchandise, so just displaying like t-shirts, tumblers, pajama pants, just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And how do you all on this team decide who's going to do what?
I think it's kind of if you see what needs to be done, you just do it. Or if you have questions, obviously you can ask, but it's kind of like we all know that flexibility is a big thing for us, and so if you see something that needs to be done, just do it.
Okay. Have you ever had any times where someone on the team wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing or wasn't pulling their weight?
Yeah, and I think we just kind of make up for what they're not doing. So instead of kind of like complaining about it and just like waiting for it to be done, just jumping on it and making sure that it's done, because ultimately like the goal isn't to worry about like this and this not getting done. The goal is to make sure everything's prepared so the girls can have the night that they should be having. So it's not really about us, it's about them.
Okay. Good. So how do those usually go? Do you usually end up getting everything done?
Yeah.
Good. So tell me about a time when you went above and beyond.
So at the daycare that I work at, recently a main teacher quit. She wasn't able to come in or something like that. So I have stepped up in her position on the days that I can work at the daycare. So I'm doing the lesson plans. I'm doing the like science projects with them, their art projects, making sure that they're learning. It's a pre-K class, so they're preparing to go to kindergarten. So making sure that they know their numbers, know their letters, know their manners. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Just things like that to help them prepare for kindergarten.
So how did it make you feel to take on this new task?
It made me feel really good, actually, because then I felt like I knew that, like, if something were to happen in my life where I didn't think I was capable of doing it, like, I could look back at that experience and say, I know I can do this. Like, this has happened before. Like, something happened that I wasn't ready for, but I can take it on. And, like, even if I don't feel like I'm the best at it, like, I'm still growing and learning to take on those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think it's going?
Pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. I love working at the daycare.
Good. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I'm supposed to graduate in 2021. So hopefully after I graduate, I get into the master's program for social work and then get my master's to become a medical social worker. You have to have your master's to do that, so that's what I plan on doing.
Okay. So what do you think your strengths are?
I feel like my strengths are when somebody doesn't understand something, I can like thoroughly like help explain it, or I guess my like customer client like talking or like conversation. I feel like that's a strength. Another strength would be just like seeing a big picture instead of like just seeing the small details. Being able to look at a project and say, okay, well, I know this is a small point, but our goal is this, so we need to kind of take a step back and look at where we need to be or where we need to get to, so we aren't like staying like stuck on this and then we don't have time to finish other things.
Okay. So tell me about a time when you had, in a customer service setting, you had an angry or an upset customer, or maybe a parent. And tell me what it was that they were upset about and what you did about it.
Okay, so at the daycare, this was the beginning of like the school corporation school year. So one of the kids, he had just left the pre-K class and he was going to kindergarten. And so Mom pulled up and she was watching how her son was like interacting with others and what we were doing. And at the moment, all of the other kids were racing and like, you know, just running around being crazy. And he wanted to play by himself. And before she pulled up, we had asked him, do you want to play with us? Or do you want to play by yourself? And he was like, I just want to play by myself. And we were like, okay, no big deal. Well, she came in and she was like, is this what you normally do? And so I thought that she meant that like we were leaving him out. And so she kind of expressed the concern about him being alone and like him kind of changing since the beginning of the school year. And so I talked to my supervisor about it, and she said we could have like a meeting the next time she comes to pick him up to discuss like really what had happened. And she just said that she had noticed that he had been acting differently, but she didn't think it was because of the daycare. She thought it was because of like his actual school. But she said that mostly what was the problem was that she just was upset that her baby was not a baby anymore and that he was becoming a little boy, not really a baby. And so she just was overly emotional and kind of like freaked out in the moment.
Yeah. So kind of going back a little bit, you mentioned that the mom kind of approached you and she was clearly upset. How did you know she was upset?
Mostly it was her tone, and I could tell that she was just kind of like reserved, and usually she's very like she's extroverted, I can tell, and she's just very open, and she was very like just kind of like watching and making sure that everybody was doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so I could tell that there was something different about her that usually isn't like her, and so I knew that she was a bit concerned.
And you also mentioned that you brought your supervisor in at some point. At what point did you feel it was necessary to include your supervisor?
I feel like in our workplace, it's kind of important to just include, it's kind of a group effort, because some people are watching a certain group of kids one day and then another person will watch them the next day. So we should all be informed on what is going on in each of our kids' lives. And so I felt like she was kind of angry at me, and so that's when I talked to my supervisor and asked her, I feel like a parent's mad at me, so I don't know what the best option is for me to go about talking to her about what happened.
So the supervisor just joined you in talking with the mom? Okay. So what ended up happening? You kind of mentioned that you found out that the mom was just upset that her child was growing up, but was her problem resolved? Was she okay with it, or?
I think it was resolved. I mean, I think that maybe the day before was kind of like a rough day, and she came in and she was in a much better mood and just like a much better place. And so she kind of laughed it off, and she was like, sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel like I was mad at you. I was not mad at you. It was just like watching, I don't know. There was a lot of factors into what was going on, and so she, apologized. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that you felt that way. I don't want you to feel that way. So it kind of just resolved itself over time.
Very good. So what questions do you have for me?
So for the job,